Hello friends, it's Kayla. Thank you for coming back to my channel. This is my absolute favorite video to film, so I'm excited to be here with you and to tell you about a whole bunch of books you probably haven't heard of. I realized I need to like remarket or retitle this whole video series because I think that people think I'm talking about like upcoming releases, which I am, but like just things I'm excited to read that are coming out soon, when in reality it's more of like a book news type of thing. Like I used to do this whole series called Bookmarked where I talked about cover reveals and movie and TV deals, and it's kind of like that, but I just take the part that I'm actually interested in, which is like book announcements and cover reveals of books that aren't coming out until 2021, 2022, because I see a lot of my friends on Twitter saying things like, I've never heard of this book. Like they'll hear about a book somewhere on the internet and they'll be like, why haven't I heard about it? Why is no one talking about it? And I'm like, I was talking about it a whole ass year ago. That's my thing. Hyping up books based on nothing except the fact that they have a title. I just love learning about upcoming books and getting myself hyped about books that I'm not gonna be able to read for a long time. I do this video series like every other month as soon as I have like 30 books to go over, and we're gonna get into it. We're gonna start with cover reveals because there have been so many beautiful cover reveals of books that I've talked about in previous episodes, let's call these, and now they have covers, and that's when I get to decide, is this something I for real want to read, or does the cover not really match what I was expecting from the synopsis? First up, Counting Down to You by Tashi Boudian, which I told you about a couple months ago. It's a sparkling and romantic YA debut. If you're new here, yes, I just read you the Goodreads synopsis. Like that's literally all I'm doing. And then I'll give you a link and you can add them all to your TBR if you so choose. She has 28 days to make the biggest decision of her life after agreeing to fake date her school's resident bad boy. Fake dating vibes, very excited. And the cover's cute. Next up, I talked about The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp, and the cover, I don't know what I was expecting. Her covers are kind of all over the place. Let me know what you think, but it is a YA page turner about the daughter of a con artist who's taken hostage in a bank heist. For 5 years, Nora's been playing it normal, but she needs to dust off the skills she's ditched because she has 3 problems. Number 1, her ex walked in on her with her girlfriend, even though they're all friends. Wes didn't know about her and Iris. Number 2, the morning after Wes finds them kissing, they all have to meet to deposit the fundraiser money they raised at the bank. It's a nightmare that goes from awkward to deadly because number 3, right after they enter the bank, 2 guys start robbing it. The bank robbers may be in trouble, but Nora is something else entirely. They have no idea who they're really holding hostage. Oh god. That one I was just previously interested because it's an author that I'm interested in. I've never read that synopsis. Interesting. Next up is one that I missed and I feel really bad about it, but the cover reveal was months ago. I've been talking about this book for at least a year because it's one of my most anticipated anthologies. Here it is. It's That Way Madness Lies, which if you read the His Hideous Heart one, which was Edgar Allan Poe reimagined, this one is Shakespeare reimagined. Everything I've ever wanted and full of authors that I love. I just can't believe I get to read this. So we've got Dahlia Adler, Lily Anderson, some authors I've never heard of or read from before, but we've got a short story from Anna Marie McLemore, and Evie's a Boy, Toshi Onyebuchi, and Kay Ankrum. Kay Ankrum! I just think it's going to be so magical. And it tells you the authors and which story or play or whatever that they're doing, and I don't really want to know. Okay, I just want to know who's doing my favorite. Kay Ankrum is doing The Taming of the Shrew. Kay Ankrum is doing The Taming of the Shrew. Okay, speaking of Kay Ankrum, because I'm the ultimate fangirl, her upcoming book, Darling, which is like a Peter Pan retelling, it got a cover. I don't love it, but I'm still gonna read the book. And I think I've read this to you before, but Wendy Darling, her first night in Chicago, a boy called Peter appears at her window. Wendy thinks they're heading to a party, but instead they're soon running around the city's underground. She makes friends, a punk girl named Tinkerbell and the Lost Boys. Peter watches over. She makes enemies. Sinister secrets come to light. This one she said there's going to be, what did she say? Justice for Peter's victims. I'm very intrigued. I've been very intrigued. Next cover reveal is another cover I'm not super stoked on. Let me know if it's just me. It's probably just me. Like, maybe you love all of these covers. Maybe I just have bad taste. But last night, The Telegraph Club, which I've been talking about for at least 3 years, and I keep mentioning in like anticipated upcoming books or like books I'm gonna read this year, and then Melinda Lowe was like, the book's not coming out for forever, you guys. Like, stop talking about it. But now it has, I think, an official release date of January 2021. It says it's her most personal and ambitious novel yet, a gripping story of love and duty set in San Francisco's Chinatown during the Red Scare. So it's historical fiction and it's queer. 17-year-old Lily can't remember exactly when the questions took root, but the answer was in full bloom the moment she and Kathleen walked under the flashing neon sign of a lesbian bar called the Telegraph Club. America in 1954 is not a safe place for the two girls to be in love, especially not in Chinatown. Red Scare paranoia threatens everyone, including Chinese Americans like Lily. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. Ooh, another queer book on my list. Cool for the Summer by Dahlia Adler, which I was already stoked on, and this cover is doing things for me. I haven't previously loved this trend of illustrated covers in this style, but I do think this one's pretty cute. It says, Laura's had eyes for exactly one person throughout her 3 years of high school, Chase Harding. He's tall, strong, sweet, a football star, and frankly stupid hot. Oh, and he's talking to her now. On purpose and everything. Maybe flirting even? No, wait, he's definitely flirting. Which is pretty much the sum of everything Laura's wanted out of life. Except she's haunted by a memory of a confusing, romantic, strangely perfect summer spent with a girl named Jasmine. A memory that becomes a confusing, disorienting present when Jasmine herself walks through the front doors of the school to see Laura and Chase chatting it up in front of their lockers. So it's a coming of age, it's a self-discovery, it's got a tight-knit group of friends apparently, and I can't wait. Next up is a super fun cover. This is another book I've just been hyping up to myself and everyone for months. The Mirror Season by Anna Marie McLemore. Again, we're definitely in the illustrated cover era. I love the colors of this cover. And this is the one that I've told you about a million times. When two teens discovered they were both sexually assaulted at the same party, they developed a cautious friendship through her family's possibly magical pastellaria. I still have not looked up that word, and I've read this synopsis multiple times. His secret forest of otherworldly trees and the swallows returning to their hometown. So it seems just like their traditional weird, magical, fabulism, romance, hard-hitting, like the vibes are just immaculate, and I haven't read it yet. The next cover reveal is Love and Other Natural Disasters by Misa Segura. This is one I've talked about before, but it now has a cover which is, you know, if nothing else, we love seeing representation on book covers, so I have to appreciate it for that. This is again about a fake dating situation. When Nozomi pictures the ideal summer romance, a fake one wasn't what she had in mind. That was before she met the perfect girl. Willow is gorgeous, glamorous, and heartbroken. And when she enlists Nozomi to pose as her new girlfriend to make her ex jealous, Nozomi is a willing volunteer. She has a master plan of her own, one to show Willow she's better than the stand-in and turn their romance into something real. But as the lies pile up, it's not long before her schemes take a turn towards disaster. Oh gosh, I am ready for it. Next up is maybe my favorite cover. And now I've looked at it so many times, I'm wondering if I've already shown it to you. I don't think so. Still illustrated, but it's just very my style. I don't even know how to explain it. But it's called The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gold. And it's a queer fantasy. I don't know. It's under a whole bunch of different genres. Fantasy, paranormal, horror, thriller. It says something is wrong in Snakebite, Oregon. Teenagers are disappearing, some turning up dead, and the weather isn't normal. All fingers seem to point to TV's most popular ghost hunters who've just returned to town. And then we're following two girls, Logan, the daughter of these ghost hunters, and then another girl named Ashley, whose boyfriend was the first teen to go missing. Now his ghost is following her, and the only person Ashley can trust is the mysterious Logan. They team up. Their investigation reveals truths about the town, their families, and themselves that neither of them are ready for. And then I think they fall in love. A spooky queer love story. Like, yes, please. Next up is Kate in Waiting by Becky Albertalli. I don't love the cover, but compared to other Becky Albertallis, this is clearly the best cover, I think. What do I know? This one is about theater, and Kate and Anderson are best friends, but then they start pining over the same guy, and that guy shows up at their school. Matt Wilson is talented and sweet, and Kate likes him. She really likes him. The only problem? So does Anderson. Turns out communal crushes aren't so fun when real feelings are involved. This one might even bring down curtains on Kate and Anderson's friendship. Oh my god, the next one, we're really in like the pastel world. I told you about A Song Below Water, book number 2, A Chorus Rises, before. I loved A Song Below Water so much, and even though I don't traditionally love books about like fame and social media, celebrity, like I just want to read more in this world, so I'm gonna pick this up. It says teen influencer Naima Bradshaw has it all. She's Portland famous, privileged, gorgeous, and she's an Aloco, a charismatic person with unique melody adored by all. Everyone loves her. Well, until she's cast as the awful person who exposed Tavia's secret siren powers. You definitely need to read the first book before this one. Like, I think that's obvious in a series, but I don't know that everyone will realize this is a series. I think, like, they're kind of companion books, but it's also a series. Anyway, now she's being dragged by the media. No one understands her side, not her boyfriend, not her friends, nor her Aloco community, but Naima knows the truth, and she's determined to build herself back up no matter what. I can't wait. It's gonna be a great summer read. Next up is another pastel dream. It's another queer book. Apparently that's all that's on my list. One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, which I'm sure like everyone is hyping like crazy because they loved Casey McQuiston's debut. I didn't so much, but I said in the video where I've read Red, White, and Royal Blue that I'm totally down to read more. And this one seems like it could be my perfect, like I'm rarely in the mood for a romantic comedy. But this one is about 2 girls, and it's like inspired by Kate and Leopold. And the girl, one of the girls is stuck in time. It says a 23-year-old realizes her subway crush is displaced from 1970s Brooklyn, and she must do everything in her power to help her. I'm very excited to read it. Next up, Leah Johnson. I think I talked about how she signed like a 2-book deal or whatever, but I don't know if there was any information about the actual books. So this one is called Rise to the Sun, and it says, set over the course of 4 days at a music festival, the novel features strangers Tony and Olivia who meet and realize that the music is more than just a way out, it's a way through, if they're brave enough to face it together. As you might know, I loved You Should See Me in a Crown so much, so I'm just excited to read more about queer girls in love from Leah Johnson. So that's all books that I've heard about before, and now they have covers. And I'll be able to show you some more covers of more books later, of books that I just discovered are coming out, and they already had a cover by the time that I learned about them. But before that, the next section is my favorite, where it's just like a little blurb comes out about a book. There's a title. There's nothing to visually see to decide if I want to read a book, but I put it on my radar shelf because I'm intrigued by something about it. First up is a book called The Paper Garden. It's by Caitlin Vance, and it says a darkly humorous, gothic, and speculative story collection that explores contemporary queer romance, mother-daughter relationship, and mental illness by reimagining fairy tales or myths. It's supposed to come out in spring 2021. It's by a publisher I've never heard of. Like, who knows what it's gonna be, but that sounds like exactly something I want to read. Next up, Stephanie Oakes, who's written a lot of things I've heard of but have never read, but maybe you have. So this one's called The Meadows, and it says it's pitched as a YA Handmaid's Tale meets Never Let Me Go. The story centers around a queer girl who has pretended to reform following years in a government-sanctioned conversion therapy center, but can't forget the girl she left behind, and so resolves to find her. Next, I added a book called The Hopeless and the Romantic by Meryl Wilsner. And it says, a woman who doesn't believe in love and a hopeless romantic start a dating podcast only to discover nothing tops the charts like the real deal. April doesn't believe in love. Why should she when every man she's dated has disappointed her? If only her mom would get the memo. April would rather focus on landing an upcoming promotion at work than a man. So when her brother offers her a deal, he'll get their mom off their back if she'll co-host a dating podcast with his best friend Violet. She reluctantly accepts. Violet is in love with love. She's everything April usually hates, peppy, optimistic, and somehow impossible to even dislike. The odd couple makes surprisingly charismatic co-hosts. Each woman goes on one date a week, April with a man, Violet with a woman, and they discuss them on the podcast. As the show goes on, April never quite connects with her dates, and soon the only thing getting her through it is a chance to rehash it with Violet. Oh my god, cute! There's not many adult romances that I'm interested in. I think we've established that well over the years. So if I'm gonna pick one up, it's about queer girls. Speaking of, the next on my list, Adiva Jagwadar has an upcoming book. It's called, I don't know how to pronounce these names, but I will once, you know, I read it and talk about it in a more professional setting. It's called Hani Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating. Everyone loves Hani. She's easygoing and one of the most popular girls at school, but when she comes out to her friends as bisexual, they invalidate her identity, saying she can't be bi if she's only dated guys. Panicked, Hani blurts out that she's in a relationship with a girl her friends absolutely hate. Ishu is the complete opposite. She's an academic overachiever who hopes that becoming head girl will set her on the right track for college. But she agrees to help Hani if Hani will help her become more popular so that she stands a chance to be elected head girl. Despite their mutually beneficial pact, they start developing real feelings for each other. Complicated, two Bengali girls achieving their happily ever after. Oh my god, cute! I can't wait to see that cover because not only is the Henna Wars a great book, but it's also so cute. Next up is S.K. Ali's third book. I have given 5 stars to both of her other books, and this is not only a sequel to one of them, but exists in the same universe as another one. So I think we're gonna get a whole blend of characters, which I'm so excited about. It's called Misfit in Love by S.K. Ali. There's no cover, but it's got a little promo image, and it just says it's about the Muslim wedding of 2021, and you're all invited. I can't wait. I'm so excited for that one. And then Rory Power, she's called this book Ice Book, I think, when talking about it on Twitter, but the official title got revealed. It's called The World Ends Here, and I think it's another weird book about queer girls. It says it's featuring bickering ex-girlfriends, existential dread, climate change anxiety, mysterious research, and it's in third person for the first time. And it says it's a speculative thriller following ex-girlfriends raised at a remote icy research institute and what happens when they uncover the nightmarish discovery that their families are protecting there. You know I'll read anything by Rory Power. It's just iconic, her writing style. I love it. And lastly, another anthology I'm excited to check out is called Black Boy Joy. It is edited by Kwame Balya, and it has stories from a couple authors I've heard of before, like J. Coles, Jason Reynolds, Julian Winters, and it's a middle grade fiction anthology that explores the joys of Black boyhood from a number of Black male and non-binary authors. And I'm gonna pick it up because I love anthologies. Lastly, some books that I recently heard of that are coming out mostly in 2021 that do already have covers, so that probably like also intrigued me to add them because I got all the information. This one's called In the Quick by Kate Hope Day, and some of my friends have this on their Goodreads TBR but didn't message me, and I'm offended. This just looks and sounds like everything that I need in my life. It says a young, ambitious female astronaut's life is upended by a fiery love affair that threatens the rescue of a lost crew in this brilliantly imagined novel in the tradition of Station 11 and The Martian, 2 of my all-time favorite books. It's got a long synopsis, I'm not going to read the whole thing. June is a brilliant but difficult girl with a gift for mechanical invention who leaves home to begin a grueling astronaut training program. 6 years later, she has gained a coveted post as an engineer on the space station, but is haunted by the mystery of Inquiry, a revolutionary spacecraft powered by her beloved late uncle's fuel cells. The spacecraft went missing when June was 12 years old, and while the rest of the world has forgotten them, June alone has evidence that makes her believe the crew is still alive. I've seen some people tag this as queer and LGBT, but I don't see anything in the synopsis itself that hints to that, so I'm not really sure where we're going with it, but oh my god, it sounds perfect for me. Next up, there's this book that I love the cover of. It's called All Girls by Emily Layden, and it says a keenly perspective coming-of-age novel captures 1 year at a prestigious New England prep school, my favorite thing, as 9 young women navigate their ambitions, friendship, and fears against the backdrop of a scandal the administration wants silenced. That as the months unfold and the school's efforts to control the ensuing crisis fall short, these extraordinary girls are forced to discover their voices and their power. A tender and unflinching portrait of modern adolescence told through the shifting perspective of an unforgettable cast of female students. I think that sounds super interesting, and I think this is her debut, so we're gonna check it out. I have a book called The Indestructible Object by Mary McCoy on my list, and it tells the story of a girl on a journey of self-discovery that sends her all over the city of Memphis, deep in her family's secrets and into the arms of a new love. Lee has spent the last 2 years focused solely on her podcast, that's why I added this one, Artists in Love, which she co-hosts with her boyfriend Vincent. That is, until he breaks up with her on air. When the unexpected breakup happens to land on the same day her parents announce their divorce, Lee's plans, her art, and her life are thrown into turmoil. Searching for a new purpose, Lee recruits her old friend Max and her new friend Risa to produce a podcast called Objects of Destruction, where they investigate whether love actually exists at all. I'm intrigued. This author's written a couple things, but nothing that's familiar to me. Then there's this one, which is one of my favorite covers I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's called The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He. It says, C awoke on an abandoned island 3 years ago. With no idea of how she was marooned, she only has a rickety house, an old android, and a single memory. She has a sister, and C needs to find her. STEM protege Casey wants escape from the science and home she once trusted. The Eco-City, Earth's last unpopulated place, is meant to be sanctuary for those committed to planetary protection, but it's populated by people willing to do anything for refuge, even lie. Now she'll have to decide if she's ready to use science to help humanity, even though it failed the people who mattered most. So, young adult, fantasy mixed with sci-fi. The cover is ridiculous. And this is the author of Descendant of the Crane, which I know a lot of people love. So, I can't wait to read that. Next up, I've got The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo, which I'm so hyped to read. The cover is beautiful. It says Immigrant Socialite Magician. Jordan Baker grows up in the most rarefied circles of 1920s American society. She has money, education, a killer golf handicap, and invitations to some of the most exclusive parties of the jazz age. She's also queer, Asian, adopted, and treated as an exotic attraction by her peers, while the most important doors remain closed to her. But the world is full of wonders. Infernal pacts and dazzling illusions, lost ghosts, and elemental mysteries. In all paper is fire, and Jordan can burn the cut paper heart out of a man. She just has to learn how. I'm very excited because I've read a novella by Nevo. There's another novella coming out at the end of the year, and this is the first novel. Next up is another one of my favorite covers I've ever seen. It's called The Sea is Salt and So Am I. This is by Cassandra Hart. Has she written anything else? I don't see anything. It says West, have I read this? I don't know. West Finch is one hurricane away from falling into the sea. I think this is young adult, just general fiction. Yet 16-year-old Harlow Prout is determined to save her small Maine hometown. If only she could stop getting in her own way and find anyone willing to help. But her best friend Ellis fixes problems by running away from them, including his broken relationship with his twin brother Tommy. And Tommy's depression hits a new low, so he's not up for fixing anything. In the wake of the town's latest devastating storm, Tommy goes out for a swim that he doesn't intend to survive. It's his unexpected return that sets into motion a sea change between the three teens. One that tests old loyalties, sparks a new romance, and uncovers painful secrets. And nothing stays secret in West Finch for long. Okay. I added it because it's beautiful. I'm going to read it because it sounds interesting. Next up, if you know me, you know this cover is very much my vibe. It's called If I Disappear by Eliza Jane Brazier. It makes me uncomfortable to look at. And what could be better than that? I think this is also a debut. This is, again, about a podcast because that's all I want in my life. When her favorite true crime podcast host goes missing, an adrift young woman plunges headfirst into the wild backcountry of Northern California and her own dangerous obsession. Sarah loves true crime podcasts. They make her feel empowered in a world where women just like her disappear daily. She's sure they are preparing her for something. So when Rachel, her favorite podcast host, goes missing, Sarah knows it's time to act. Rachel has always taught her to trust her instincts. Sarah follows the clues hidden in the episodes. Okay, I don't want to read anymore because mystery synopses always give away way too much. Next one, again, upset that none of you tagged me. I had to find out just by Elias adding it to his Goodreads shelf, which I guess is how most people find out about books, but like Peter Swanson has a new book coming out. Maybe you assumed I already knew about it, but like it's my perfect cover. I think this is beautiful. I think it's very trendy. It's called Every Vow You Break. It's giving me guest list vibes. Peter Swanson is one of my favorite thriller authors. Books with handwritten white font and ocean and night sky stormy vibes. Like, this could not be... I feel like they designed this cover for me. It says, a bride's dream honeymoon becomes a nightmare when a man with whom she'd had a regrettable one-night stand shows up. Apparently, it's an electrical psychological thriller. It says, Abigail never thought she'd fall in love with a millionaire. Then she met Bruce Lamb. He's a good guy, stable, level-headed, kind, a refreshing twist from her previous relationships. But right before the wedding, Abigail has a drunken one-night stand on her bachelorette weekend. She puts the incident and the sexy guy who wouldn't give her his real name out of her mind. And now she believes she wants to be with Bruce for the rest of her life. Then the mysterious stranger suddenly appears, and we're not going to read anymore. I can already tell you this is going to be a Literally Dead Book Club pick because Peter Swanson, I have nothing to say, just like yes to Peter Swanson. Okay, next up, this book, As Far As You'll Take Me by Phil Stamper. This is the author of The Gravity of Us, which I didn't love, but I remember saying I will absolutely pick up his next thing. So this says, Marty arrives in London with nothing but his oboe and some savings from his summer job, but he's excited to start his new life where he's no longer the closeted shy kid who slips under the radar and is free to explore his sexuality without his parents' approval. From the outside, Marty's life looks like a perfect fantasy. In the span of a few weeks, he's made new friends, gotten closer with his first ever boyfriend, and he's even traveling around Europe. But Marty knows he can't keep up the facade. He hasn't spoken to his parents since he arrived. He's tearing through his meager savings. His homesickness and anxiety are getting worse and worse, and he hasn't even come close to landing the job of his dreams. Will Marty be able to find a place that feels like home? That sounds sweet. It comes out in the perfect Valentine's-y season, and it's another pastel illustration. Next up is The Darkness Outside Us, which they're staring very intensely at each other. This is by Elliot Schreffer, and it says, two teen boys from warring countries embark on a rescue mission to save a stranded astronaut. As evidence accumulates that the ship itself might be an enemy, they race against time to uncover the truth of their existence and learn that their love for each other might be the only way they'll survive. It's a short blurb, still don't fully get the scope of it, but I will be reading it in summer 2021. I think lastly, I have Love is a Revolution by Renee Watson, which was announced a little while ago, but I forgot to show it in my last video. I love Renee Watson's writing, so This says, when Nala Robertson reluctantly agrees to attend an open mic night for her cousin's sister friend Imani's birthday, she finds herself falling in instant love with Ty Brown, the MC. He's perfect, except Ty is an activist and is spending the summer putting on events for the community, when Nala would rather watch movies and try out the new seasonal flavors at the local creamery. In order to impress Ty, Nala tells a few tiny lies to have enough in common with him. As they spend more time together, sharing more of themselves, some of the lies get harder to keep up. As Nala falls deeper into keeping up her lies and into love, she'll learn all the ways love is hard and how self-love is revolutionary. Oh, and lastly, I almost forgot, A Psalm of Storms and Silence. A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, book number 2. I just read A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. I have a lot of feelings about it. I don't read a lot of YA high fantasy series, so the fact that I read one and loved it, and I'm interested in the sequel, and it just revealed its cover and it's beautiful, and they might be touching hands, which I have feelings about. This is just stunning. I don't even know. Does it have a blurb? There isn't one on Goodreads. Anyway, I'm desperate to read it and I have to know what the heck is gonna happen. It's a duology, so this should be the finale. And there's a lot of places it could go and I'm worried about it. I'm very invested. And those are all the books that have been recently announced or had recent cover drops that I don't get to read for like another year in a lot of cases. But I hope you learned about something new. Let me know which book most intrigues you down in the comments. Let me know any other books recently announced that you think I would be interested in, because I need to know these things. And I will see you later. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Bye.